Now, one of the other experience that I had was I remember, like that they killed this one pig, I think, that was there, and it was very interesting at the time that I remember that story, and they actually used every part of it. Nothing was wasted, not even the blood was wasted. They I know you're grossed out by it, but the point is that sometimes when I see and I watch people and they go hunting here in the US and they're more like killing the animal, but they're not really using the parts, I always think, well, back home in Jamaica, we would use every single part of that actual animal and nothing would be wasted. A couple other odd sidebar things about the culture also is that you would never have a pet in the house. Like, dogs were always outside because they have lots of lands and place to roam outside, but the dog was never allowed in the house. So when we came to the United States, it was so strange to see dogs in the house, but I understand based on the weather that you certainly couldn't have your dog outside unless you're gonna create an environment or space where it was heated or air conditioned so that the dog could survive. The other thing that we didn't do as well, I think a lot of Jamaicans were germaphobes, so they'd take their shoe off at the front door and they'd never bring their shoe in. Shoes inside the house. And I also remember that people, even though they didn't have much, remember, if you think about the logistics of it, there are 5 of us at the very beginning that stayed at my grandfather's house. Now the house, remember, is 2 rooms, 2 bedrooms. There's no additional rooms. There's just 2 rooms. And so 5 of us slept in one room. My grandfather slept in the other room, plus Dawn and plus Tat. So there's, what, 5 and 3, there's 8 people staying in 2 bedrooms at the time, just because of the amount all of us sort of, showing up on his doorstep, so to speak. But somehow we managed to survive under those conditions, and it didn't really feel, you didn't feel like you're losing anything that way. And today when I look back, I think some of the stories and message and things that I learned is that you can survive with less sometimes in order to achieve an outcome. And I think being in Jamaica and going through that time, I think it taught me that no matter what happened, I can survive. I can find a way to make something happen. But on a funnier side of thing, my wife would say, "Hey, do you want to go camping?" And my family and I would go, "Why?" And she's like, "Well, it's fun." And I go, "But," I said, "I kind of lived that life. I did the wood fire thing. I didn't have it. There's no heat there. I mean, or air conditioned there. You were living out, sort of not completely outside, but in a very tough environment and having to fend for everything. So to sort of go out there and to just, deliberately go out in that environment and try to camp, so to speak, is not something that was very interesting to me when I got here. And it still really isn't. I don't think I've ever camped other than like in high school here in the US, where we went to camp and it was in a big facility where you had bathrooms and everything where it was there.